Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Akron Rotary Club meeting. It is Tuesday, January the 18th, and I hope everybody's doing well after the onslaught of all that snow yesterday. But we have a good day planned, and to start us off with our meeting today, I would like to invite our past president, Sandy Narragon, as she leads us with our invocation.
Thank you, Steve. So child advocate and president emeritus of Compassion, his name is Wes Stafford, shared this prayer for all those caring for children so they'd know God's patience and grace. He asks that folks take time to pray, that you will know God's hand in your life when you have children in your care. Let's pray. We love you so much, Lord. We surrender fully to you and pray that your love will guide us today and every day. May we simply be conduits of your love to the children in our care. Amen. He went on to say, watch carefully the children around you. In precious moments, you'll catch a glimpse of God's goodness. Listen intently and you will hear his voice. Walk gently among them. His footprints are all around them. Embrace them, respect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. You know, that part of what you shared there is very, very powerful about listening to children and what they have to convey to us. And again, you've heard me say it many, many times about our club. There are a lot of wonderful things that can be said about the Akron Rotary Club, but in particular is our commitment and our love for children and for youth. And then later today in our meeting, we're going to be hearing from Chaz Billington, as he's going to be sharing with us about the youth protection policy that Rotary is looking and is in the process of establishing throughout the world to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and loving responsibly. So if you join me now, I'm going to lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance, and feel free if you want to sit or if you would like to stand. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, if you would kindly join me in our four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, today's greeter is our beloved David Hall. And David, do we have any visitors with us today?
Steve, as I'm looking through, it's great to see everybody here, but I do not see any visitors today. So just all Rotary members.
Okay, and if anybody does come in, just make mention and you can introduce them. All right, thank you. Do we have any Rotary ambassadors over the last week or last couple of weeks? Any Rotary ambassadors? Cheryl, I see your hand, and if you see other hands after you're done sharing, just invite them to.
I will do so. Yes. Well, let's see. Tom Knauer and Linda Farkas and I were all on the membership committee roundtable meeting on Saturday morning. It was a discussion to talk about membership. What are our challenges? What are our hurdles? And lasted about 90 minutes. And they're going to do that every quarter now. So it was a good discussion.
Thank you.
Steve,
I'm here.
I attended the Rotary Camp Board Executive Committee last week, and also we had our District Grant Committee.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
No other hands are up, President Bowie.
Okay, thank you so much. Regarding announcements, this is a very, very busy time of the year. Yesterday, I had the privilege of joining in with our beloved Akron Rotary Camp leadership team. And the topic, of course, was surrounding the Chili Open that's coming up in like 2.5 weeks here as we get close to February the 5th. And a lot of good conversation. And as you well know, if you've been part of this club for less than a year, or if you've been here more than a year, the Chili Open is our main service project in the course of a year, and it's been going on for many, many years. And this team, I tell you, in particular, in what we've all had to face down with COVID and the changing climate out there, they are so impressive, and they run like a well-oiled machine. And the leadership that has helped to steer these committees and groups over the past years just continues to come forth. And Jeff Sheeks and Cindy Kane are providing leadership and doing an outstanding job. And a couple of the points that came out, and you'll be hearing a little bit from them in a minute, but we need some items for the silent auction. And because we're not in person and we don't get to interface with one another, there still are some needs that exist in that particular area. Additionally, some door prizes are needed for all of those who will be attending on the 5th. And last week, our beloved past president, Rob McGregor, was talking about the wheelbarrow of cheer, which was a real big hit that another club had shared with us the idea. And I believe the last at least 2 years, I think we've actually functioned with having a wheelbarrow of cheer, which consists of a bottle of your favorite, or maybe not your second favorite liquor, and that it's used in the auction. So there's room to add more to the wheelbarrow of cheer. And someone came along and said, hey, if we're going to have a wheelbarrow of liquor, let's have one of wine. And so both of those areas we would gladly welcome any gifts that anybody would want to make toward that. And this coming Friday on the 21st is a big day, because annually at Whitey's, and they provide the chili, there's going to be a gathering. And so I'm going to let one of the camp leadership share with us a little bit about that. So is it Dan, or is it going to be Mela, or maybe even Amanda?
No, it's Dan drew the short straw today. So
hello.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your kind words. And really, first, just thank you, to everybody in the club that supports the Chili Open and does all this hard work. Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of people behind the scenes making it happen. So I am truly appreciative to everyone's efforts to keep us going. So thank you. Or next Friday. No, it's this Friday. I've got a lot going on this week, friends. This Friday, Whitey's at probably 5:30. Come on down and show your support to Whitey's. They donate all the chili annually, and we'll sell some raffle tickets. It's also a great idea to turn in raffle tickets at that time. So, or if you want to bring a door prize or a bottle of booze, we'll take those things there. We're also setting up some remote pickups like we did last year, so that'll come out to you as well. And then, I shared a little bit last week that we are, we're still committed to the in-person event. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're working really hard to make sure that, anything inside is as safe as possible within, all of our COVID and pandemic concerns. So we're meeting with Hale Farm this week too, to kind of walk through what that's going to look like. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me and let me know so I can make sure that I'm addressing everything appropriately. Other than that, that's all I got. I don't know if our co-chair Jeff Sheeks is on the line. Oh, there he is. Jeff, do you have any other announcements for the Chili Open?
I'm sorry, just came on. Hello, everybody. Listen, we're down to the last 3 weeks, and we're doing a pretty good job. But we have a chance to really take this thing and make it one of the biggest fundraising events Chili Open has ever seen. And we're going to need everybody's help. We need raffle ticket sales. First and foremost, we need raffle ticket sales. We need help with the auction items and the wine and the beer and the liquor, the World Barrel. I don't know if everybody saw the video that they put out recently, but did a really nice job. Jim and Cindy did a real nice job on the video. If you haven't seen it, please do. But again, we're going to be just in this last push, we're going to really ask that you help us with ticket sales. It's an easy ask. I'm not one to ask for money. It's funny because I'm in sales, but I don't like asking for money, and it's a pretty easy sale. Everybody can ask for $10 here and there. And if you have clients and you want to reach in your pocket and buy $100 worth and send them out to your clients as a chance for the raffle for the car or the TV or the other item, please help us in that regard. We really need it. With that being said, I'm going to be doing this once a week, asking for your help. So please, if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, we're down to just around 3 weeks here, and we have a chance to really make this a special event, which it is every year. But let's take it over the top this year, guys. We need your help. So that's all I have, Dan. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you to the camp staff and for Jeff and his leadership once again. And in particular, I just want to make a comment about Wayne Holmes and additionally about the Vanderveer Motor Group. These two sponsors are amazing, is actually an understatement for how they have served our club and our camp and the Chili Open. Just a pleasure to be around them. And a credit also to our wonderful staff with Dan and Mella and Amanda and Jim Redmond, year in and year out, and his devotion and commitment to the Chili Open is also quite admirable. I wonder sometimes if Jim might have been born out at the camp. I mean, he's so sold out, as it were. But in leading into Happy Dollars, I want to start, and I want to put $5 toward that group of people that I just mentioned, because they're exceptionally persevering, but also they bring a real heart and a creativity year in and year out to what we do at the Chili Open. So $5 toward the fabulous work that they do. And Cheryl, if you would monitor to see if others have hands up and who else would like to participate in Happy Dollars today.
Not seeing any hands yet, or you can just unmute. Okay, David Hall.
I have a couple Happy Dollars. Number one, still looking for invocators and greeters for sign up. You can go online and look down the left-hand side, and there's greeters for 2022 on there. If you want, you can always reach out to me and I can help you get signed up with that. Number two, I'm going to be working as kind of the lead chair here on a new service project with the Akron Food Bank that we're going to kind of wait till after our Chili Open before we start asking for help there, but that's going to be coming in March. So we're going to be looking for some volunteers to work out at the Akron Food Bank, at least I think once a month. So keep that in the back of your minds as well. So that's my two Happy Dollars. Thank you.
Susan Colville Hall. You're muted, Susan.
That's a good way to be most of the time, actually. But I have a couple Happy Dollars. And the first is because I'm sure that I'm going to find a couple of volunteers that want to come to make breakfast for the Rotary Exchange students that are going to be going out next year. These, we have an overnight on January the 29th and 30th. And so it would be breakfast on the 30th. And we just need two 2 volunteers to come out and operate that kitchen and meet all of these wonderful kids. My second happy dollar is because I got to snowshoe yesterday, and I'm going to snowshoe again today. And anybody who wants to try it, just let me know, and you can pick up my snowshoes and have a go at it.
Thank you, Susan. Dan Reynolds.
Yeah, so I got a couple of happy dollars. First, through a mutual friend, one of my best friends, actually met Susan Koval Hall a couple of weeks ago, and through their conversation, I discovered Susan has quite a rich history in camping and with her family, and we've crossed paths, not at the same time, but at some different summer camps throughout the country. So that was kind of cool. And I'm also really happy that we got pretty much all the snow we needed this year in one round. Got it all taken care of, out of the way. Hopefully it sticks around a couple weeks, so it's ready and great for the Chili Open. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Dan. And Thane Billow, you're up.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I have 5 happy dollars. First happy dollar is for our Chili Open team. Really appreciate having the opportunity to work on your committee. So Dan, Mella, Jeff, Cindy, the whole Chili Open team. I really enjoy the opportunity to serve alongside you. Got some good news late last week that Firestone Country Club is donating a foursome on the Championship South course, as well as lunch. That should be a very big ticket item for the silent auction. So very happy that Firestone could come through. Second, have a happy dollar for our club's secretary, Terry Dalton. And it's mainly because you guys know this. Terry's really an unsung hero in our club. He does a lot of work, not only supporting our week-to-week meetings, supporting our board meetings, but he has been a one-man show when it comes to scholarships. We've had some exciting news in the last couple of weeks about ways that we're going to revamp and reinvest into our scholarship program. And I really appreciate Terry reaching out to me to see ways that Billows can help support the program. So kind of a preview of coming attractions, Terry. I think you're going to be speaking later this year, but stay tuned. And if you'd like to volunteer or assist Terry, please reach out to him. Then the last 3 happy dollars will be very quick. Last 3. They're for our Paul Harris Fellows. So Bill Manby and I are honored to serve as your Rotary International Foundation chairs. And today I'd just like to recognize and thank 3 people. First, District Governor John Reyes. I think he is on the call. John, thank you for being a Paul Harris Fellow. There's so much you do for our club in the district, but God bless you and thank you. Also want to thank Ed Wagner, who is on our call this morning. Ed is a Paul Harris Fellow. We would like to recognize you. And with both of you gentlemen, I'll work a way to get you your pin. And then lastly, our past president, John Margita. He quickly stepped up after Bill and I presented in late 2021 and made a donation to our club. So John, thank you. He's not with us this morning, but please do thank John for all his good work. That's all I got.
Thank you. And that was wonderful. Thank you, Nate. Or Thane, I want to call you Nate all the time. I'm sorry. Mella, you're up.
Hi, everybody. The one thing we didn't mention on Chili Open, and people have been asking about signing up for Rotarians to sign up and volunteer at the Chili Open. Dr. Doug Hoskinick has agreed to be our volunteer chair this year. So we're really excited about that and all that he does for camp. So look for a sign up genius. Hopefully it'll be out tomorrow afternoon. It'll go to all Rotarians and it will have the various positions that we'll need filled with volunteers for the setup the day before the event and the day of the event as well. So thank you.
Carol, I have this Jeff Sheik. I don't know why my camera's not working, but it's good for all of you not to see me. So, I have 5 happy dollars. First and foremost, when Nate says that John's not with us today, when you hear it from Nate, it's like, is he still alive? You know, so I checked and he is still alive. So that's why I'm happy. And no, actually, this is for our team too. You have no idea how hard this team works. I got an email from Mella about 9 o'clock last night as I was pulling the sheets over my head. And, you know, she's working all hours, as is her team out there. And it's just so nice to work with people that are really into it. And a lot of these committees you get on, there's a small percentage that work and the rest kind of ride the wave. Well, that's not what Rotary is all about. And I've learned that over the last 4 or 5 years I've been involved. So my happy dollars are for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Well, Jack Herrick, you had 10 happy dollars.
Yes, 10 happy dollars for General Charles McGee, Tuskegee Airman. We were very fortunate a few years back to have the Tuskegees as part of our district conferences, and Vivian and I had the privilege of meeting many of them, including McGee. They were great men, and they set the track for many great things, and just grateful for them.
Thank you, Jack. Bill Manby wrote that he wants to reiterate Thane's comments and would chime in, but he's multitasking on another call, but he is listening, so he'll make it up soon. And thanks again, everyone. I'm sure that means Bill's giving at least $5 in happy dollars. I don't know, since he's multitasking. I'll also chime in on that, Thane. I agree. Terry is an unsung hero. He had worn the crown for quite a while as an unsung hero. And I too am excited about the direction that he's taking this new scholarship program and event. So I encourage others to get on board and help us, please. And I'll give 5 happy dollars, Mella. Anyone else? All right, Steve, it's back to you.
Hey, thank you, everyone. And it's always a joy to hear about the leadership that's going on out there that each of you are taking and running with. And we are fortunate. So thank you, Thane. Thank you for Cheryl for also letting us know about Terry and the incredible work that he continues to do. I wanted to share a couple other items with you that coming up on February the 12th, which is a Saturday, the week after the Chile Open, 100 Black men, they're conducting their annual conference. They had to move it from a few weeks ago because of the Omicron variant to February the 12th. It's going to be at the downtown library. We will post something in the newsletter, but from 12 to 3, they're going to be sharing a little more about their vision and about the wonderful work that they're doing in the city and working with the high schools, and most recently breaking into the University of Akron and having a chapter there. And behind the scenes, and I mentioned it briefly last week, a number of your Rotarians, Rotaract members, and Dr. Doug and I, and also with folks out of the Rotary Club of Mentor, are working to put together a Be the Match program that we can begin to change the numbers of having possible providers for folks who are going through blood diseases, cancer blood diseases. And on today's chats, Mary Weaver had made mention of her son, Matt, and the need for coming up with a match for him for an organ that he needs. And so if you could keep Mary and Matt in your prayers, that would be really, really good and very, very helpful. And also too, if this idea of working with 100 Black men really kind of tugs on your heartstrings, I'd like to invite you to, put that down on your calendar to come out. Our club is going to have a table at that event on February the 12th. And by the way, Michael Irby, who is the president of 100 Black Men, he lost his older brother, a year older than him. Most recently, they're having his funeral service tomorrow. But Michael Irby is in the process. He's already working with Tom Knauer, who handles membership, and will be joining our club. And so there are a lot of good connections that are continuing to take place, and it could be mutually beneficial for us. But in particular, if any of that pulls on your heartstrings, reach out and let us know. You can let Dr. Doug know. You can let me know. You can let Gina Kay know, who's on the diversity and inclusion. She's heading that up. And we'll let you know how you can be a part of that. Lastly, next week, I'm going to be on vacation with my bride. We're going away for a week, and we're excited about getting some time to just refresh and recharge. And so that'll be fun. And Tom Knauer will be leading the meeting, and Cheryl and the team behind her with Terry and others will be making sure that everything runs rather smoothly. And then today, I'll be cutting out probably 10 minutes before the end of today's meeting because I've got another important business meeting I have to make it to. But without that, I do want to share, we have some anniversaries here. We have, as far as membership, our beloved John Daly this year, his membership as a Rotarian is 55 years and 10 months. John, unbelievable. Congratulations on that.
Hey, can we say hi, Steve?
Please do.
John, say hello to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, John. We love you, and glad that you can continue to be a part of these meetings. Additionally, Andrew Grover out of Cleveland, 7 years and 10 months. He joined in 2014. And our invocator today, I don't know if you remember this, Miss Sandy, but you joined in 1999.
I do remember.
So 22 years, congratulations to you. And John, I know this is going to be a little bit of a shock, but Stu Perry has been a Rotarian for almost 63 years. So congratulations to Stu. Brooks Ames has been a Rotarian for 15 years and 10 months. And then in the last just about 4 years, our own dear Laura Smiley joined 3 years and 10 months ago. So congratulations to all of you. And then as it pertains to marriages, spouses, we've got Michelle Wilson and her husband, John, have been married 28 years. And then we have Zach Prosser and his wife, Heather, are coming up on their 12-year anniversary. So congratulations to both of you. So without any further ado, I'm going to just introduce today's speaker. He doesn't need much of an introduction if you've been around our Rotary Club. Chaz Billington has been a Rotarian for just a little bit under 10 years. And Chaz is an attorney and he's a leader. I've been privileged to know his family, the Billington family, for 4 generations. So I knew his great-grandfather, his grandfather, his dad, and now Chaz. And one thing I could say about the Billingtons is that they're people of integrity and they're people of leadership, and they are highly involved in our community. And Chaz is going to be sharing with us today his role in working with our own John Reyes and others throughout the district and coming up with the youth protection policy. And so how we can be better prepared and be very due diligent in how we interface, because as you know, this club is so heavily involved from kids all the way up to college age. And so there's a lot of responsibility that goes with that. And we want to make sure that we are being well prepared and diligent. So Chaz, we're delighted to have you, and we welcome you to come and share with us.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, I'm going to share here real quick. Everyone, bear with me. And let's see if this works. Okay. All right, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the youth protection policy. And I want to start off by just thanking everybody's interest in this particular topic. It's one near and dear to the club. And obviously, youth safety is a primary focus for Rotary. It has been, whether that's at the international or the district or at our local club level. Akron Rotary in particular, like a lot of clubs, has, substantial interaction with minors. I mean, you look around the club, look around the district and the club, RILA, the 4-way speech contest, youth exchange, interact, our activities with North High School, and of course our camp. And safety of the youth population that we service has always been a real key concern for the club. And for years, if any of you have been involved with the district, with the exchange efforts know that the youth protection efforts have been in place there for a while. And for those of you who don't know, that might involve background checks for host families, training for both the host families and for the students. And that's all with the goal of providing a safe environment for the youth population with which we interact. And outside the youth exchange context, though, interestingly enough, in talking with John Reyes, who is the chair of the Youth Protection Committee at the district, this district in particular is about 10 years behind other districts around the country, some of the major districts, in implementing, more formal, fulsome, standardized youth protection protocols. And the bottom line I'm going to give you today is just we need to catch up. Rotary International has placed a heavy emphasis on youth protection. We're seeing some trickle down in the insurance rates. They're going up based on youth safety concerns. And it's really no surprise if anyone's been following the news over the last couple of years, you've seen, prime examples of how the failure to adequately protect youth can, result in substantial liability. Obviously, Boy Scouts Chapter 11, billions of potential liability stemming from 80,000 plus claims. We see the Mormon Church likewise with a multitude of claims and multi-million-dollar exposure, and the issues that went on with USC. Everybody's facing substantial liability, again, related to youth protection. So, it bears some more emphasis, particularly even at the local club level, to ensure that we are mitigating and we are assessing risk properly in the interim. And similarly, we're also under an obligation under Ohio law. Ohio has a statutory framework that provides some limited immunity, and it deals with volunteers supervising minors, requires certain notices, fingerprinting, and background checks, and in certain instances can even preclude somebody from being a volunteer based on their background. So, it's no surprise at this point that Rotary's youth-related activities are a focus for our future. The international insurance underwriters are looking to put in place a standard of care with respect to our interactions with minors, and that standard of care is being rolled out in the youth protection policy. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Here's the agenda for today. Kind of went through why we're here and why it matters. We'll talk a little bit about what the policy says, what the next steps are. And of course, we'll provide time for your questions. But if I leave you with anything today, the key here is that the club undertake efforts to identify the classes of volunteers we have and the amount of interaction they have with youth, train those individuals, and then ultimately put a process in place for timely incident reporting. When we talk about incidents in this context, we're not necessarily talking about a complaint that's filed in a court or a letter from someone like John Reyes or I at a law firm saying you did something wrong. We're talking about an instance that could potentially blossom into a claim, and ensuring that is timely submitted in the claim year in which it accrues so that we have proper insurance coverage. As always, folks, it's about the lawyers and the insurance. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. And that's no different than your business. Same is true with volunteer organizations. Again, we have time for questions. And again, John Reyes is here. He will help, go through this. John has been implementing this. He helped draft some of these protocols, and he's been doing some of the training that we'll talk about. So without further ado, let's jump into the actual policy. So really, the heart of this is these couple of statements. Every activity that we conduct or sponsor has to occur in an environment that is, quote, free of abuse and harassment. The district's youth protection policy, which I'll share some links for you later if you guys want to get ahead of the curve, it complies with Rotary International's conduct standards. Essentially, here's what we're saying. Rotary strives to create and maintain a safe environment for the youth who participate in our activities. And to our best ability, us, our spouses and partners, and any other volunteer have to safeguard the children and young people with whom we come into contact, protect them from physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. So as we go through, we are going to see some of the pillars here, right? We are going to have in all programs, safety of youth front and center, supportive incident management, compliance with any international directives, which are outlined in some of the training we'll go over, and protection of our club members themselves. I mean, you as a volunteer can, potentially subject yourself and the club to liability in certain instances. And this helps you just as much as it helps the club. It really just helps keep a protocol in place for ensuring that we can get ahead of that. Also provides liability protection, and it has some protocols in place for how to properly report an incident. And the key component here is that the goal ultimately is that all Rotarian spouses and any of our volunteers should be trained in and understand the policies. That training takes place in a couple of different ways, but there are modules that will be rolled out. Likewise, we may plan some in-person training as well, just to go through the policy. And in there are some vignettes and modules that will show you what an incident might look like. And it's not exactly what you think it is, right? It's not, somebody has some kind of inappropriate or untoward contact. It could just be somebody's left unsupervised in a particular way, or how to handle a report from an individual. A lot of you folks, maybe don't do this in your daily life. I work a lot in HR. I'm very familiar with doing investigations where allegations are made, how to support those and how to do those. But that's not everybody's daily life. And so part of the training really is just identifying what needs to be reported, how to report it, and also how to handle the situation with a complainant or someone who's accused. And it is a zero tolerance policy, obviously, but it needs, restatement here. It is any abuse by a member or a volunteer, anybody associated with the club, is not tolerated. And the supervision for club compliance is going to filter down from the district governor to the presidents and the youth protection officer. It's all of our responsibility. And it really stems out of the kind of contact you have with minors. And you can look at these definitions, and of course, we will expand on them in the actual training, but this is just a high level overview. Do you have casual contact? Is that incidental and infrequent group contact with youths? You may be, in certain instances, just around an activity. You may not be supervising those individuals, but you may have that kind of contact. Those of you who work out at camp or have done some of these other initiatives certainly may have casual contact. Then, of course, there is the higher level, which is continued contact. And that may not be in a group setting, and it applies to Rotarians generally assigned to support Rotary functions. For instance, if you are the head of the Youth Exchange or Interact or the four-way speech contest, and you're going to be having continued and sustained contact, you may reach that higher threshold of contact. The insurance coverage that the clubs and the district provide coverage for third-party claims, but clubs have to document any event alleging abuse or harassment involving a youth. And that can even just be in passing, a casual reference to it. And that's why it's critical you do the training to be able to issue spot. That is absolutely critical in this context. You need to be able to issue spot. And clubs should review programs and implement procedures for one of the main concerns where we've seen issues in the past is transportation. Who takes an individual or a minor home? How does that person get home? Where are they left? And that we have definitely seen some instances in the district that have caused a little heartache from transportation, conducting interviews and volunteer screening, and create an action plan. And so just at a very high level, this is more kind of inside baseball, but we're going to be asked to provide the district with a signed compliance statement. And for our volunteers with continued contact, again, that higher level of contact, confirmation of their screening prior to participation. And the key component there is prior. Planning will need to be put in place going forward. And I'll walk through the timeline a little bit later with respect to these individuals who might have this contact to ensure that we are properly vetting these people to, again, make sure that we have coverage for third-party liability claims. RYE, clubs participating in Rotary Youth Exchange, are going to meet additional requirements, training. If you're involved in that at all, that is a separate component, and there is a higher level that's going to go on with that. So let's talk a little bit about what this is going to look like. So the district governor is going to oversee the youth protection policy. The district hearing committee may investigate and make recommendations for action, and that's with respect to non-criminal complaints. A district youth protection officer oversees clubs for compliance. John Reyes is involved in that. District Youth Services Committee, again, which John is involved in, reviews, updates, and provides the training. And I've already taken some of the training for the youth protection officer. I will tell you, it is quick, it is fulsome, it will give you a very good idea of what exactly is you're looking for and properly equip. And I would heavily encourage anybody to seek out that training if you even think you're going to be involved in a situation where a minor may be around. And then, of course, the district RYE chair oversees youth exchange procedures. So let's talk about roles and responsibilities. For Presidente Bowie, enforce the district policy, review club youth activities, appoints a club youth protection officer, and creates a youth protection committee if needed. Now, the more recent iteration is the club youth protection officer will recommend a committee to the president, who then approves. The club YPO, and just for those of you keeping tally at home, I am the club youth protection officer. I will coordinate with the district leaders for volunteer screening. That's the background checks and the vetting process, and annually conduct a youth protection club or training for club membership. None of this is going on right now, and we'll talk about the timeline as we go forward, but this is, again, just to put this in your ear. And again, all Rotarian and non-Rotarian volunteers who work with youth must complete the online youth protection awareness training. And if you undergo this continued contact, again, if you're in one of these groups or committees who is going to have this continued contact, there will be an interview. You have a volunteer application. There will be references, and you will be required to undergo a criminal background check. Any individual who's admitted to or been convicted of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, or harassment is ineligible for membership or participation in these programs. A little bit on youth exchange, to the extent anybody on is involved in that. Host families must meet the district guidelines, and it applies to all adult residents of the host home. And the students complete applications, they're interviewed, and they attend and participate in orientation and training classes. And just like the same issue spotting framework that goes into training our club members and volunteers, likewise, the students are also trained into sort of what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. Parents and guardians of RYE students are also interviewed at the club and district level to determine the suitability for participation. Okay, what's the training that we're all going to be eventually going through? Well, it includes recognizing sexual abuse and harassment and how to report it to the club, the district, and the legal authorities. And there may be certain instances where skipping certain levels or reporting to a certain individual may not be appropriate, and you may need to go outside the framework or jump the framework. Likewise, there may be instances where we need to actually report it to the authorities. The training will provide you with the tools and contact, right? So if you get into a situation and you don't know what to do, you can contact a youth protection officer. You can contact someone else to say, hey, this thing happened. How do we deal with it? That allows us to get it into the framework, provide an analysis, and determine the next path. And we're going to keep training records, and student participants, including Interact and RILA, are trained in youth protection awareness in a training that's approved by the governor. As it stands right now, this is, let's move through a little bit here. Adults to whom youths report abuse or harassment must immediately refer complaints to the YPO, me, and if there is none, to Steve. But in this instance, it would be me. And again, this will all be part of the training. I just want to familiarize you all with the framework. Complaints alleging sexual or physical abuse must be reported to law enforcement immediately. Again, incident reporting, incident identification and reporting is absolutely critical to this framework. Obviously, we will fully comply with all law enforcement agencies and child protective services to the extent required by law. And if it involves an RYE youth, the report should be made to the district RYE chair, who in that instance would assume the duties of the club YPO. A lot of acronyms. Sorry about that. Just a time saver. Once you receive an allegation, you have to respectfully acknowledge every report. And again, you know, it's not about making the determination in the first instance whether a report is good faith or whether it has support. It's about acknowledging that a report's been made, taking immediate steps to protect the youth involved, assuring privacy but not confidentiality. And that's a key component in, if you've ever done a workplace investigation or an outside investigation, you can ensure privacy. I can tell you, yeah, look, I will, to the extent humanly possible, keep your identification private, but I can't maintain full confidentiality because in certain instances, particularly here, I'm going to be under an obligation to investigate. And there are going to be details that need to be shared as part of an investigation to the most limited extent possible. Anything non-criminal is reported and handled within 72 hours. And district level committee will review the complaints and investigate. And the committee makes recommendations, including potentially termination of club membership to the extent something is verified. Overnight events. Adults supervising youth overnight events must be qualified volunteers that have complied with continued contact. Obviously, supervision overnight is a continued contact, and you will need to go through that framework including training and background check. Transportation is another big issue. We talked about that earlier. It has to be done only by qualified volunteers, i.e. those with continued contact or under the supervision of a qualified volunteer. And drivers have to take youths home directly and ensure they are delivered to the parent or guardian. Let's talk timing a little bit. First up, this all is taking place here in the next few months. YPO training in principle from the district should be happening. It should be completed in or around March. Nothing for the club to do immediately other than just have this awareness. I, as the YPO, will form a recommendation for a committee to Steve. And I want to talk a little bit about that, here and now, to the extent that you're an individual who is involved with Interact, RILA, the four-way speech contest, or has a committee that's involved with that. Reach out. I'll be doing some reach outs on my own, folks involved with the camp and things like that. It's critical those folks are on the committee. And here's why. They're going to have direct knowledge. If you parachute me in as the YPO and say, Chaz, I need you to get a list of everybody who's got continued and casual contact, I'm not going to be able to do that in a quick, efficient, and accurate way. The folks who are on those committees, however, who are in charge or integrally involved in those activities are going to be able to do that. And so one of the big issues we're going to be doing as we get the committee going is training the committee members on the youth protection policies and procedures, getting the compliance statement, put in place, but it's identifying the youth programs. That's the critical component about this 5th or 6th bullet down. And that's going to start in March. So the committee is going to have its work cut out for it to get a list of individuals who are involved in these and beginning to vet who needs to have what kind of training and potentially what kind of screening. Once that's made, those individuals will start, with the actual training and the background checks, shooting for June 2022. And John, feel free to jump in and tell me if that's slipped or changed at all. But that's when the actual youth protection policy will go into place and the club will need to start vetting. Again, critically, when that's in place, to the extent you are planning something that has a component of contact with youth, whether that's casual or continued, that needs to be run and vetted out properly to make sure that those volunteers are appropriate and to make sure, again, we maintain insurance coverage. And as we go through, the goal is ultimately that when all of the current members and new members take the awareness training at some point, the awareness course. Again, it's online, it's readily available, but the goal would be for those individuals to start doing that. That's probably a process that's going to take some time, particularly for existing members. New members, as part of the orientation, can just be given that course and we can maintain the training records to ensure that they are familiar with it. And that
might be wise for a quick comment or two. On the training itself, that is a particular set of requirements for that based upon what the insurance companies have vetted and what they want. There is an online course now at the Rotary International level, but that will not be the course that ultimately qualifies you. That course will become available at a later point in time. And when you take it, all of the record keeping is done via a software program. So that one's actually not available to take at the moment. Not in this district. If you were in California, you could, but it's not up and running in this district at the moment.
And last but not least, here are some resources. The insurance website. Likewise, we have the district youth protection page, which is a great resource. That's that 4th bullet down. If you want to click on that, copy it and paste it, we'll leave it up here for a minute. That has the youth protection manual. It's got some preliminary training, some overviews, some flow charts and things like that help out with identification of risk. Very, very helpful if you want to get up to speed on this. And likewise, that last link is the actual youth protection manual itself. If you want to begin familiarizing yourself, again, if you're in one of these circumstances where, you think you're going to have some of this contact and you think you want to be up to speed on this, or even if you just want to educate yourself in the interest of risk mitigation, those resources are available now. With that, we will turn it over for any questions.
Great, Chaz. Thank you. I've had been getting some messages in the chat here to everybody and some private ones as well. First one, I guess, is and I think you've alluded to this.
Excuse me, could you stop sharing, Chaz?
I guess.
Yes, please. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Great. So you went through the timeline, and I assume this is starting immediately as you're in process of most everything. Yeah.
So the club specific, YPO designation, committee selection, and the beginning training. Yeah, that stuff will start like fairly immediately. I mean, if anybody is interested right now, if you want to be part of the committee, please do reach out. Otherwise I will find you. But if you want to reach out, we'd encourage that. This is going to be a lot to do, going through every single thing we do and identifying these folks. So if you're close to it, let me know. We could use your help.
Okay, great. Let's see here. There's a question in regards to all this training and screening. I assume is there a cost to it? And if so, does the club bear that cost? Does the individual bear that cost?
David, maybe I'm the one to speak to that. Okay. The vast majority of the cost of this, including the several $1,000s we've already invested in creating the software, is borne by the district. The only cost that will transfer down to the club level is the cost of the criminal background check, which we anticipate will be about $18 per person. Frankly, it's currently $13 per person for youth exchange, which has been doing this for years, by the way. We anticipate a cost increase by the time we're able to implement that. But that's the only one that would come down to the club level. And also, you need to understand, Chaz has referenced analyzing your activities. You also will want to analyze which persons require that level of training. Every club member will not need to have a criminal background check, for instance, if that helps answer the question. I see one in the chat. Will training be done annually? And the short answer is, on the continuous contact side, it's yes. And that includes criminal background checks, by the way. Somebody else asked, if you have training somewhere else, can you substitute it? That's something that's been looked at in depth, and the answer is no. We found several problems with that. First of all, different organizations have different requirements. Just school districts, not every school district, for instance, requires an annual criminal background check. We also don't know the depth and the quality of somebody else's criminal background check and what have you. So in order to satisfy the Rotary International insurance carriers and meet that standard of care, we have to be able to justify it. So it'll have to be run through our system.
Okay, that's great. And I think, sorry, I'm reading here. You talked the criminal background check, if you're done through an employer, does not carry over then to Rotary?
Correct. That's correct.
Correct.
We have another one here. What if we have family? What if we have more family-oriented social events in our club, such as dinners, which young family members participate with adults? Do we have to worry about every Rotarian attending and having training? You answered that, I believe.
Well, I'm not sure I caught the whole question, but if you have an event where you have youth, that is anybody under the age of 18 attending, then you're going to have to analyze that particular event and see what level of protection you need. All right. And this is an overview, but if you go into the policy, there's two different kinds of contact described there. One that is more extensive. Generally speaking, it's going to be more than a one-off. And then there's that which is casual. You happen to go to a dinner, it's in a group setting, and there's virtually no chance of abuse if you read the definition. There you're going to have to do very little, if anything. But you also need to understand that our policy fits into the broader context of the law of the state of Ohio. And the state of Ohio enacted a statute on this topic all the way back in 2001. So in that sense, we're 21 years behind because the law in Ohio requires that every volunteer, which would include every member of this club, be informed of the fact that you're subject to, all right, a criminal background check at any time. That's not our policy, but that's the way the law works. I doubt that that notice has been given to anybody in any Rotary Club in the state of Ohio at this point, but it's fact. The other thing that comes into play in the question that we were just looking at, the statute also has its own definition that relates to unsupervised conduct. And you'll find that, by the way, for those who really want to dig deep, in Ohio Revised Code section 109.574. And where you lose your limited immunity and increase your risk is primarily in the area of unsupervised contact. And frankly, that can be a single contact or a continuous contact. But it is defined, that is, unsupervised access to a child under Ohio law means that the person in question has access to a child and that either of the following applies. One, no other person 18 years of age or older is present in the same room with the child. All right, so if you don't have at least two adults in there, you have unsupervised contact and you have an issue that you need to have dealt with, preferably in advance. Or two, if outdoors, no other person 18 years of age or older is within a 30-yard radius of the child or has visual contact with the child. All right, I've been doing seminars on this since 2001. I used to represent Ohio Youth Soccer Association North. And you can imagine if you're running a soccer practice on a soccer field with 17 or 18 soccer players, the myriad of combinations that can occur where you're trying to avoid unsupervised contact and the potential problems that can go with it. Here, something as simple as the Interact Club participating in a park cleanup, okay? That's an activity that you need to analyze fairly carefully as to how you're going to handle it, how many people you're going to have there, your interaction with the Interact Club advisor, who probably is fairly well versed because most public schools have their own protocols. So there's multiple layers of this. And this gives me a great segue to thank Chaz for taking this job on. To be blunt, Akron is one of the most complex and sophisticated clubs in the district when it comes to youth activities. Many clubs have nothing remotely approaching this. And so it is going to take some expertise, some time, and some effort. And Chaz has a unique background that qualifies him very, very well for this kind of activity. And I do want to thank him publicly for that.
Hey, John, I think that covers most of the questions again. And if I'm gathering things right here, so if we have, cookout at the Akron Rotary Camp, I mean, it's not like you have to get screened or background checked to go to that because there's adults there and you're outdoors and everybody should be in public sight.
Well, David, that in a simplified version, that's correct, but it's more complex than that. I've already spent several hours with Dan Reynolds, because recall that the camp is run by the YMCA and there are multiple and they are very substantial protocols there. And we do not interfere with those protocols. Dan and the employees of the YMCA will continue to function under those. Our role will be in the interface when you have a Rotarian there. And in a group event, you probably don't need anything more than the basic vetting, which is pretty simple, really. The club member, once this is up and fully running, will get an email to take the course, take a quiz, submit it, and it'll be recorded. And for the average person, that's about all you're going to need. Now, if you're transporting to that event in their youth, you have a different situation, as Chaz already referred to. And that does happen. Frankly, one of the training vignettes you'll see in the policy that's online actually came from an event that occurred at our camp. Sanitized a little bit, but it occurred at the camp.
Very good. Well, it's 1 o'clock. I don't know if you guys want to hang around and answer a couple more questions or and end the meeting now.
I'm retired. I can stay as long as you want.
Okay, great.
There is
Carol,
one more question in the chat.
Okay. Well, the
So
meeting, we're at 1. Did you want to end the meeting, and those who want to stay can stay?
Sure. So we want to thank everybody for being here today. And at this moment, we'll just end the meeting. Thank you.